You have received the signal. Welcome to the last transmission. I'm truly glad you're here. There is something special about people who are still willing to pause, look beyond the familiar, and ask the questions that have no easy answers. By listening, you are helping keep that curiosity alive, and I'm grateful you chose to spend this time with me. Before we begin, please take a moment to like this documentary and share it with someone who still looks at the universe with wonder. Every like helps keep the transmission alive, and every share carries the signal a little farther. Now settle in. The transmission begins. This is the discovery that could answer the biggest question humanity has ever asked. Are we alone in the universe? In August 2026, a team of scientists at Heinrich Heine University in Düsseldorf published evidence that life on Earth may not have originated once, but twice. And if that finding holds up, it doesn't just rewrite biology textbooks. It fundamentally transforms our understanding of how common life might be across the cosmos. To understand why this matters, we need to go back, way back, about 4.2 billion years to be precise. That's when an organism known as LUCA lived, the last universal common ancestor. Every living thing on this planet, every bacterium, every plant, every animal, every human being, traces its lineage back to LUCA. A 2024 study published in Nature Ecology and Evolution gave us the most detailed portrait of LUCA we've ever had. It lived roughly 4.2 billion years ago, possessed a genome of at least 2.5 megabases encoding around 2,600 proteins, comparable in complexity to modern prokaryotes. And here's something critical. LUCA wasn't alone. The genomic analysis revealed that LUCA coexisted with other organisms. It had an immune system. You don't evolve defenses unless something out there is trying to exploit you. Life on Earth was already diverse by the time LUCA existed. Now consider the timeline. The Earth itself is about 4.5 billion years old. Paleontological evidence suggests life was thriving by 3.5 billion years ago, and the late heavy bombardment, a period of catastrophic asteroid impacts, may have sterilized the planet as late as 3.8 billion years ago. That leaves a window as short as 300 million years for life to emerge. Some estimates compress this even further, suggesting abiogenesis, the transition from chemistry to biology, may have taken as little as 5 million years. 5 million years, in geological terms, that's the blink of an eye. This is where the 2026 study from Heinrich Heine University enters the picture, and where things get genuinely extraordinary. Led by biologist Natalia Mrnjevac with senior author William F. Martin, the team examined genomes, protein structures, and metabolic reactions from 552 bacterial and 401 archaeal isolates. They analyzed 420 core metabolic reactions, the fundamental chemistry that keeps cells alive. What they found was startling. Of the core metabolic enzymes, they could trace only 166 back to LUCA. Another 89 appeared later along the bacterial lineage. 38 arose independently along the archaeal lineage. The enzymes that catalyze life's most essential reactions are not shared across the evolutionary divide separating bacteria and archaea. As Martin himself put it, we are looking at one origin of the genetic code, but two origins of life. The team reconstructed 4 stages of early catalysis. First, metal-only reactions, raw chemistry happening around hydrothermal vents on the ancient seafloor. Second, a hybrid stage within LUCA, where metals and primitive enzymes work together. Then, two divergent paths. Bacteria and archaea, each independently evolving the full biological machinery needed to become free-living cells. LUCA, it turns out, was a transitional organism. It still depended on chemical reactions occurring naturally in its environment. It couldn't survive on its own. Its descendants had to finish the job, and they did so separately. Mrnjavac described the picture vividly. We would see two very different kinds of cells emerging, pioneer bacteria and pioneer archaea, making their first attempts at life outside the confines of a hydrothermal vent. Now, this isn't quite what some headlines suggested. The study doesn't argue for two completely unrelated acts of abiogenesis, two bolts from the blue producing life from scratch in different locations. The genetic code is shared, the deepest roots are common, but the transition from dependent chemistry to independent biology, from a halfway house to a fully functioning cell, that happened twice. Two separate lineages solved the same problem in different ways. And that distinction matters enormously for astrobiology. Here's why. One of the central debates in the search for extraterrestrial life is whether life is a cosmic imperative or a cosmic accident. Nobel laureate Christian de Duve argued it was inevitable, a natural outcome of planetary chemistry. Francis Crick, co-discoverer of DNA's structure, took the opposite view, saying the origin of life appears almost miraculous, given how many conditions had to be satisfied. Without a second example of life arising independently, we simply cannot resolve this debate. We have a sample size of 1, or at least we did. The concept of a shadow biosphere was first proposed in 2005 by philosopher of science Carol Cleland and biochemist Shelley Copley at the University of Colorado Boulder. The idea is elegant and unsettling. What if life originated more than once on Earth, and descendants of that second genesis are still here, invisible to us because our instruments are designed to detect only the biology we already know? Cleland has compared the challenge to trying to pick up an AM radio station with an FM receiver. The signal is there. Your equipment just can't hear it. Consider this. Less than 1% of Earth's microbial diversity has been cultured or comprehensively studied. Extreme environments, deep subsurface aquifers, acidic hot springs, hypersaline lakes remain largely unexplored at the molecular level. Cleland herself has pointed to desert varnish, a mysterious coating found on rocks in arid environments whose biological or non-biological status has been debated since Darwin's time as a candidate worth investigating. Paul Davies, the theoretical physicist and cosmologist at Arizona State University, has been one of the most vocal advocates for the search. His position is simple and powerful. If life can happen twice, it can surely happen a zillion times. And he's right. If we found even one example of an independent origin of life, it would transform the probability calculation for life in the universe from a complete unknown to something far more encouraging. There are an estimated 10 to the 23rd power planets in the observable universe. Even if the odds of life arising on any given world are astronomically small, evidence that it happened twice on one planet would tell us the process isn't nearly as improbable as we feared. The cautionary tale here is worth remembering. In 2010, NASA astrobiologist Felisa Wolf-Simon announced that a bacterium from California's Mono Lake, designated GFAJ1, standing for Give Felisa a Job, appeared to incorporate arsenic into its DNA in place of phosphorus. NASA declared the finding broadened our thinking about the possibility of life on other planets. It was front-page news around the world. It was also wrong. Attempts to replicate the results failed. 2 independent studies debunked the central claims. And in July 2025, 15 years after publication, science officially retracted the paper. The lesson is clear. The search for alternative life demands extraordinary rigor. But the 2026 Heinrich Heine study is built on a fundamentally different foundation. It doesn't claim to have found alien biochemistry. It traces the known biochemistry of all life on Earth to its roots and finds that those roots fork in a way nobody expected. Looking ahead, the implications ripple outward in every direction. Mars and Europa remain the primary targets for detecting a second Genesis beyond Earth. Europa is particularly tantalizing because there's no exchange of rocks between Earth and Jupiter's moon, eliminating the possibility of cross-contamination that complicates the Mars question. If life exists in Europa's subsurface ocean, it almost certainly arose independently. But we may not need to leave Earth to find what we're looking for. Carol Cleland has said she believes there is a strong likelihood our planet possesses a shadow biosphere, possibly representing a second, third, or even fourth Genesis. And she thinks we might discover it soon. The question that has haunted humanity since we first looked up at the stars, whether we are alone, may not be answered by a radio signal from a distant civilization or a fossil on Mars. It may be answered by something living quietly in a hot spring in Yellowstone, or clinging to a rock in a deep-sea vent, or coating a stone in the Atacama Desert. Something that has been here all along, older than every nation and every name we have ever given the stars. It was here when our ancestors first opened their eyes, when they buried their dead, and when they looked into the night and wondered whether anything else in creation was alive. Through every human birth, every human loss, and every prayer cast into the darkness, the answer may have been living quietly beside us, waiting for us to build the right receiver to hear its signal. If life began twice on one small rocky planet orbiting an unremarkable star, then the universe isn't empty. It's teeming. Across worlds we will never reach, beneath skies no human being will ever see. Other beginnings may already be unfolding. Oceans may be stirring with cells that will never know our sun. Distant shores may hold living things that will never know our names. We may never reach them, and they may never know that here, across the darkness, we were searching for them. But their existence would mean that life is not one impossible accident stranded on a single world. It is something the universe knows how to begin, something that awakens, survives, and begins again long before there are eyes to witness it or voices to give it a name. For all of human history, every person who ever stood beneath the stars inherited the same unanswered question. Are we alone? Perhaps the universe answered. Long before humanity existed, we were simply too young to hear it. And now, after 4 billion years, one branch of life has finally raised its eyes, built the receiver, and begun to listen.